Let me ask you something real. And don't brush it off like every other video you scroll past. What if I told you that the biggest fear people have about getting old isn't actually death? It's what happens before that. Yeah, I'm talking about that slow fade, that quiet disappearance where one day you're living your life, making your own choices, laughing your own laugh, and the next day you're waiting for someone else to decide what you eat, where you sit, when you sleep, and how long you're allowed to feel like yourself. Now imagine this, an 89-year-old man sitting on a creaky old chair, sunlight hitting half his face, coffee in hand shaking a little, but his voice steady. And he looks at you and says, "I'm not supposed to be the one telling you this. Most people my age are already written off, but I refuse to disappear quietly." And right there, pause, because that line alone carries more truth than most people realize in their entire lifetime. You see, everybody talks about nursing homes like they're just buildings. Clean hallways, nurses smiling, bingo nights, soft blankets. But nobody talks about how it feels when you realize you didn't choose that place. It slowly chose you. And I know that sounds heavy, but I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to wake you up. Because I lived long enough to see the pattern nobody wants to admit. Independence doesn't get taken away in one moment. It gets negotiated away in tiny pieces. One day it's, "Let me help you with that." And you say, "Okay." Next day it's, "You shouldn't go out alone." And you agree. And before you even notice it, your world gets smaller, quieter, softer, until it doesn't feel like yours anymore. And I saw it happen to people I grew up with. Good men, strong women, people who used to fix their own cars, run their own homes, laugh too loud at family dinners, and now they were sitting in places they never planned to be, looking out windows like they were waiting for permission to live again. I remember one guy, call him Mike Toughest Guy in our neighborhood, always said, "Man, I'll die in my own house before I ever go into one of those places." He meant it too. But life doesn't care what you mean. One fall, one hospital stay, one temporary arrangement. And suddenly his life had a new address. And that's the part nobody prepares you for. The transition doesn't feel like a storm. It feels like paperwork. It feels like people saying, "This is just for your safety," while your choices slowly shrink in the background. And I'll be honest with you, I got scared too when I saw that. Not scared of aging. I've earned every wrinkle, every ache, every memory. But scared of losing agency. Because there's a difference between getting older and getting erased while you're still alive. And that fear, it did something to me. It didn't break me. It woke me up. So I started doing something most people thought was ridiculous at my age. I stopped waiting for life to take over, and I started rebuilding control in the smallest ways possible. I'm talking ridiculously small, like choosing my morning routine, like it mattered again. Like walking even when people said, "Slow down," like refusing the idea that comfort always equals safety. And something strange happened. The more I took control of small things, the more alive I felt in the big things. My mind got sharper. My days felt longer, not in a tiring way, but in a meaningful way. And I realized something that hit me harder than anything else in my 89 years. People don't lose independence because they age. They lose it because they stop practicing it. And nobody tells you that. Society sells you this idea that aging means stepping back. But what if stepping back is exactly what pushes you closer to the life you're trying to avoid? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying ignore help. I'm not saying fight everything. I'm saying question the direction you're drifting in. Because drifting is the most dangerous part. It doesn't feel like falling. It feels like floating. And that's why most people never fight it. They don't even realize they're moving until they can't find their way back. And I wish someone told me this earlier, not in my 80s. Not after seeing friends disappear into systems they never questioned, but earlier, when habits were still forming, when choices still felt small enough to ignore. Because here's the truth I learned the hard way. Your future at 80 is being built by your decisions at 50, 60, even 70. And most people don't connect those dots until it's too late. So when I say I refused the nursing home life, not out of pride, not out of stubbornness, but out of awareness, I mean I made a decision to stay in charge of my daily life, no matter how small the control was. And yeah, some people laughed. Some people said, "You're just being difficult." But I started noticing something they didn't. Difficulty is what life calls you when you stop being predictable. And predictable is exactly what makes people disappear into systems without resistance. Now here's where it gets real interesting. Because the real shift didn't come from some big dramatic moment. It came from a quiet realization one morning when I was sitting alone, listening to the clock tick louder than usual, and I asked myself, if I keep living like this, am I choosing my life or just maintaining it? And that question, that one question, changed everything. And the moment I asked myself that question, am I actually choosing my life or just maintaining it? Something in me shifted, like a switch I didn't even know was still functional, just flicked back on. And I started noticing things I used to ignore completely. Like how easily people at my age start saying, "It's fine. I don't need to go out today," or "Someone else can handle that," or the classic one, "I don't want to be a burden." And listen, that phrase right there sounds polite, sounds humble, even sounds wise. But in reality, it's dangerous, because the more you repeat it, the more you slowly erase your place in your own life. And I saw it happening around me every single day. People I cared about slowly shrinking their world without even realizing it. Until one day their world was just four walls and a routine they didn't choose. And I said to myself, no, that's not going to be my ending. So I started doing something that at first sounded almost too simple to matter, almost too ordinary to make a difference. But let me tell you something, real life-changing things are almost always disguised as simple habits. So I started with mornings. Yeah, mornings, nothing fancy. No extreme fitness nonsense. Just waking up and deciding the day starts with me making a choice. Not the TV, not the doctor, not fear, just me. I would sit up, stretch slowly, feel the stiffness, laugh a little and say out loud, like some crazy old man in a movie, "All right, body, we're still in this game." And weirdly enough, that small act of speaking to myself like I mattered changed how I carried myself through the day. Then I started walking not fast, not intense, just walking like I still had somewhere to go, even if I didn't have a destination. And that's when I noticed something funny. People started treating me differently, not because I changed how I looked, but because I changed how I moved through the world. And here's the truth nobody tells you. You teach the world how to treat you by how you carry your own energy. And I stopped carrying myself like I was waiting for permission, and started carrying myself like I still had business here. And oh man, that shift alone did more for me than any medicine ever could. But let me get real with you. It wasn't all smooth. There were days where the body hurts, where memory feels like it's playing tricks, where you sit down and think about friends who aren't here anymore, and that silence gets loud. And in those moments, most people quit on themselves emotionally long before they quit physically. But I learned to sit in those moments without running from them. I would just breathe and say, yeah, I'm still here though. And that became my anchor. Not denial, not fake positivity, just presence. And then something even bigger happened. I started reconnecting with people again. Not out of obligation, not out of loneliness, but out of intention. Because I realized isolation doesn't just happen to you. It slowly becomes a habit, like anything else. And breaking that habit feels uncomfortable at first. But discomfort is where life still exists. And I started calling old friends. I started talking to younger people too. And you'd be surprised how much energy comes back into your system when you stop only talking to the past and start engaging with the present. And one young guy once asked me, "Aren't you afraid of getting older?" And I laughed, not because it's a silly question, but because I used to think that too. And I told him, "No, kid, I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm afraid of disappearing while I'm still alive." And that line hit him so hard, he didn't even respond for a few seconds. And that's when I realized something powerful people don't need more motivation. They need more awareness, because once you see what's happening clearly, you can't unsee it, and that's when real change begins. And I started changing even more things. I stopped waiting for others to include me in life. I included myself. I stopped saying, "Maybe tomorrow," and started saying, "Why not today?" I even started doing small things that made no logical sense at my age, but made perfect emotional sense, like learning new things, trying small routines differently, even allowing myself to enjoy things without thinking, "I'm too old for this," because that phrase is a lie too. There is no age limit on curiosity, only permission limits we place on ourselves. And slowly, very slowly, I noticed I wasn't living like someone waiting for the end anymore. I was living like someone still participating. And that's when I understood the real secret I wanted to share with you. Not some magical trick, not some anti-aging miracle, but this simple truth. The opposite of nursing home life is not independence. It's engagement. It's staying mentally, emotionally, and physically connected to your own decisions for as long as you possibly can. And yes, sometimes you'll need help. Sometimes life will slow you down. But slowing down is not the same as stepping out. And I refuse to step out while I still have steps left to take. And I want you to think about that for a second, not emotionally, not dramatically, just practically. Where in your life are you already slowly stepping out without realizing it? And what would happen if you reversed even one of those habits today? Just one, because I promise you this from 89 years of living. It's never one big decision that changes your life. It's the accumulation of small ones you finally decide to take back. And if this story is hitting you in any way, I want you to do something simple. Don't just scroll away, leave a comment, and tell me honestly. Are you living your life fully right now, or just maintaining it? And share this with someone you care about, because most people don't realize they're drifting until someone reminds them they're still in control. And maybe that reminder is the only thing standing between them and a life they never actually chose. If you really listened to this story, not just heard it, but felt it, then you already understand this is not just about an 89-year-old man or a nursing home. This is about you, your habits, your daily choices, and the quiet direction your life is moving in right now without you even noticing. And the first suggestion is simple but uncomfortable. Stop assuming that independence disappears suddenly. It doesn't. It fades slowly through small decisions you don't question. Every time you say, "Someone else can handle it." Every time you delay taking care of your body, your mind, your relationships, you are not just delaying action. You are slowly training your life to depend less on you. So the first real change is awareness. Start noticing where you are giving away control without realizing it. Second, protect your movement in life. And no, this is not just about exercise. It is about refusing stillness as a lifestyle. Stillness feels safe, but too much of it becomes invisible limitation. Walk more, move more, decide more. Even if it's small decisions like what you eat, when you go outside, or who you talk to, keep choosing for yourself as long as you can. Because the moment life starts choosing everything for you, the shift has already begun. Third, never underestimate the power of connection. Isolation doesn't announce itself. It grows quietly. One canceled call becomes a habit. One "I'll talk later" becomes weeks. And before you know it, silence feels normal. Break that pattern early. Call people. Talk. Laugh. Even small conversations keep your mind alive in ways no medicine can replace. Human connection is not optional. It is fuel for mental survival. Fourth, stop postponing your life into some imaginary, better time. There is no perfect age, no perfect condition, no perfect moment waiting for you. That idea is one of the biggest illusions that quietly steals years from people. If something matters to you, fix it, start it, say it, or do it now in whatever form you can. Imperfect action always beats delayed perfection. And finally, understand this deeply. Aging is not the enemy. Neglect is. Decline is not always physical. It is often behavioral long before it becomes physical. The way you think, the way you respond to life, the way you treat your own independence every day. That is what builds your future. So don't take this story as just inspiration. Take it as a mirror. Ask yourself honestly, am I still actively living my life? Or just maintaining it? Because the difference between those two answers is exactly what decides how your later years will feel. And if this message hit you in any way, don't ignore it. Don't just move on. Think about it. Talk about it with someone you care about. And more importantly, start one small change today. Not tomorrow, today. Because that is how every real transformation begins.